You must carry your driver's qualification card while driving. Every 5 years, you need to complete 35 hours of periodic training to keep your driver's certificate of professional competence, CPC, and to drive commercially. It's illegal to drive professionally if you haven't completed your training by your deadline, and you could be fined up to £1,000. You can now check records of the training you've completed online at the address shown on screen. You must do the following checks before you set off on your journey. Start with your in-cab checks, adjusting the driver's seat, making sure the seat belts are working, and check audible warnings. Next, switch the warning lights on and look at the gauges on the dashboard. If one of them is low, then you'll need to lift the bonnet to top up. Check your foot and handbrake and make sure your view to the front is clear. Then move the steering wheel and sound the horn. Test the windscreen wipers and washers too, making sure there's no damage to the windscreen. Check your reverse alarm and camera and that there's a no smoking sign in the cab. Finally, look at the height indication and make sure there's a printer roll in the VU and spare. Check the condition of the bodywork and the mirrors. Test the door handles and make sure the locks are working. Walk round to see if all the lights and indicators are working, including work lights. Make sure the fuel and AdBlue cap is on securely. Is the load secure too? Look at each wheel, checking the nuts and studs. Is the tyre tread okay, and are they properly inflated? Check the O licence disc and number plates are visible. Listen for any air leaks and look for excessive smoke. Finally, check the shutter and rear steps. To check the tail lift, start by testing the controls. Check the wander lead and cables and look for any oil leaks. Check the platform and the plates and test the power rack, operation and guards. Record your walk-round checks on the driver daily check sheet and report any issues immediately on the defect sheet. If no defects are found, then complete a nil defect report. If you notice a significant defect on the road, for example, a damaged tyre or loose wheel nut, call the transport office for guidance. Pulling into one of our sites, you'll be given assistance to safely manoeuvre into the depot by the marshals and banksmen. Trained banksmen might use a number of signals to help guide you. Let's have a look at what these are. Both arms bent facing downwards, making slow movements away from the body, means move away from the guide. Extending the arm to the right or left with small movements indicates which direction to move your vehicle. Parting of the hands indicates the distance of clearance you've got. If they want you to move towards the guide, both arms will be bent facing upwards as they make slow movements towards the body. The banksman will point their right arm upwards, palm facing forwards to direct you to stop. You must use your reversing alarms at all times, and if you lose sight of the banksman, stop straight away. Before taking a load off site, make sure all safety equipment is present and in working order. You'll need securing straps, gloves and high-vis vest. Report any unstable or insecure loads before you leave the site and contact the transport office at point of delivery if not. Before leaving the site, you need to make sure you can operate the tail lift and that it's working correctly. Separate away from the tail lift by adjusting the in-cab height indicator to the correct height of vehicle or trailer, whichever is the highest. Your sat-nav might not take into account the size and height of your vehicle, and it's your responsibility to check the road ahead is suitable. To couple, you'll need to park your tractor unit just in front of your trailer, leaving a slight gap. Check your trailer plate and the Mavis rail are in working order and that your trailer parking brake is applied. Make sure the side rails are attached and the wheel arches are in good condition. Give the wheels and tyres a thorough check too. Is there enough tread and are the wheel nut indicators pointing to each other? While carrying out the walk-round check, check the trailer for any damage. At the end of the trailer, make sure the spray suppressions are intact too. The trailer should be level in its position and the door should be secured. Check the step moves as it should too. The height and clearance of the fifth wheel platform may need adjusting so it's in line with the trailer. Using the 3 points of contact method to safely get in your cab, make sure your handbrake's on and the vehicle's in neutral. Start up the engine, checking your mirrors and blind spots before you start to slowly reverse. Listen out for the locking mechanism to engage and use the tug test to double check by trying to drive forwards in a low gear. You should feel resistance from the trailer. Do the tug test twice. Apply the parking brake on the tractor unit. Visually check the engagement of the fifth wheel and, depending on the type of mechanism, attach the safety clip. Use the Mavis rail to connect to airlines, starting from the furthest away and working back towards yourself. Wind up the landing legs and secure the handle. Complete the rest of your normal pre-checks and fit the number plate, as well as any necessary warning plates. Go back to the vehicle cab and recheck the handbrake is applied. Then release the trailer brake. Wait and stand by, watching carefully for any trailer movement. Count down slowly from 10 just in case. If there's any movement at all, reapply the trailer brake and recheck the handbrake in the cab. Finally, get back in the vehicle cab and test the brake by driving forward and carry out a rolling brake check. The procedure for uncoupling is generally the reverse of the coupling procedure, but always remember to set the tractor unit parking brake before leaving the cab. We've invested in 3 systems to help us monitor fuel economy, track vehicles, and provide evidence in the event of an accident. The next 3 sections will talk a little bit about these systems, but you can find out more on the intranet, along with other policies you need to understand. The DriveCam system is a forward-facing internal camera designed to capture 12 seconds of footage in the event of an incident. It doesn't film you all the time. It only starts recording when experiencing significant G-force, for example, harsh braking, cornering, accelerating, or due to manual trigger. The in-cab camera scheme is used for monitoring, so we can coach better driving practices and in case a road traffic accident happens. It's a disciplinary offence to tamper with a camera or to cover it. We've partnered with Isotrack to help us reduce our carbon footprint and fuel costs. The system monitors company vehicles in real time so we can accurately forecast arrival times at sub-depots and can help you be more efficient drivers within Hermes. If something happens and you need to detour from the designated route or stop without authorisation, you should tell management as soon as you can. If your vehicle's equipped with a digital tachograph, you must insert your driver smart card. There will also be a second slot for a co-driver if there's 2 of you. Make sure the tachograph is working properly and calibrated by inspecting the calibration plaque and insert your driver card into the correct slot. Do this straight away when you take over the driving of the vehicle. You need to record the country you're in at the start and end of the day's work, even if you're leaving the card in the slot overnight. Use the mode button to record other work, periods of availability, rest and breaks. Your digital tachograph card must be carried at all times while driving commercially and ideally downloaded daily. You may need to produce your driver's card chart and printouts at the roadside for the authorities, or we may ask to see it so we can check the data for the previous 28 days. Carry sufficient supplies of type-approved print roll on board the vehicle so that a printout can be produced at an enforcement officer's request. As a driver, you must follow a maximum daily driving limit of 9 hours a day, which can be increased to 10 hours twice in a week. You can't drive for more than 4.5 hours without taking a break of at least 45 minutes. However, you can split this into 2 periods, one of at least 15 minutes, followed by a break of at least 30 minutes, in that order. Weekly rest is at least 45 hours, and this can be reduced to 24 hours, though you must have had at least one full 45 hours of rest in any 2-week period. Any reduction must be made up by the end of the following 3rd week. There are quite a few rules on hours, breaks and rest periods you must follow to stay within the law. For more information, including what to do in an emergency, or if you're in a double-manned vehicle, please visit the policy section on the intranet. It's estimated thousands of crashes each year are due to tired drivers, with these being most common between 2 and 6 a.m. and mid-afternoon between 2 and 4 p.m, when the body's natural clock is at its low point. If you notice you can't recall any detail of the last few miles, your head begins to nod and you keep yawning, or you start to drift off the road, stop as soon as possible for a rest. Winding a window down, turning up the radio, or having a caffeinated drink can help in the short term until it's safe to stop. Inform the transport office when you do. Eating a healthy, balanced diet and getting consistent, adequate rest should help make sure you don't need to do this. Avoid eating carbohydrate-heavy foods and don't drink alcohol the day before a drive. If you're taking medication, make sure that you've informed your doctor or chemist that you are a commercial driver. If you're parking, unloading, uncoupling or recoupling, make sure you follow the cockpit drill, putting the handbrake on and selecting the park or neutral gear before switching your engine off. Before exiting the cab, look and listen for any warnings or alarms sounding, keeping your foot firmly on the foot brake. If in doubt at all or any alarm sound, repeat the drill. Making the vehicle safe is your number one priority, so avoid distractions like eating or talking. Never chase or try to stop a rolling vehicle. It's illegal to pick up or use any type of mobile phone or other device that sends or receives data or calls when driving, waiting at traffic lights or stuck in traffic. You can use hands-free to take calls but could still be prosecuted if you don't have proper control of your vehicle. Pop your phone in the glove box so it's out of sight and out of mind. You may be targeted by criminals on the road, for example by staging an accident, or they might tell you your van or lorry door is open. To help stop this, lock your vehicle when you leave it and set the alarm. Never leave your keys in the cab. While driving, keep your doors and trailer load locked, and when unloading, lock the cab. If you have a concern, you can contact our transport office or the police if you're in danger. Take breaks at our depots or sub-depots where you can, and never pull over for or pick up unauthorised people. If you are attacked, do not resist. Call the police as soon as it's safe to do so. If you're involved in an accident, you should call the emergency services straight away if necessary, giving full details so they can advise you what to do. Turn your hazard lights on to warn approaching traffic and make sure other drivers switch off their engines and put out any cigarettes. Make sure any uninjured passengers move to safety, but leave anyone with injuries where they are, except if they are in danger from fire or explosion. If the accident involved a motorcyclist, leave their helmet on, unless you have no option. Give first aid if needed, and wait for the emergency services to arrive. Sometimes an accident might not require the police or ambulance service to attend. In these cases, you'll still need to complete a bump card so it can be reported. Take down the other driver's name and vehicle registration along with any details of injuries. Write down the exact location of where the bump took place and what happened leading up to it. You'll also need to write down what damage has occurred to your vehicle and theirs, including if it's safe to drive it. If it's not, call the travel office for help. If you can, take photographs of the scene, including anything of interest like skid marks on the tarmac. Occasionally, the other person may become confrontational or upset. If they seem angry, stay in your vehicle. If you're already out of your vehicle when a situation develops, calm things down by speaking in a gentle tone. Keep your arms uncrossed and open at midriff level while talking, and don't point. Don't stand too close or make physical contact either, as this might make the situation worse. Call the police if you feel threatened in any way. So you're now up to speed with all things health and safety at Hermes. If you have any questions, please speak to your manager. We hope you enjoy the rest of your training. Thank you for watching and helping us on our mission for everyone to go home safe every day.